I'm sitting there in this tiny conference room that smells like old carpet and printer ink, staring at a stack of documents with my name on them. The lawyer, who I'd literally just met, keeps flipping pages like he's speedrunning my funeral. And then he looks at me and goes, "So, just to be clear, you understand you don't actually own the software anymore, right?" I swear my brain straight up lagged. I'm like, "What do you mean I don't own it? I built it." And he just taps one line on a contract to my signature and says, "Legally, your partner's holding company owns the IP, client contracts, and trademark." I felt my stomach drop so hard I thought I was going to pass out. Every late night, every line of code, the product I basically poured my 20s into, apparently I had already handed it away, one signature at a time. And sitting right across from me, my so-called silent partner, calm, collected, not even pretending to be sorry. He just said, "This is the best structure for the company moving forward." Not gonna lie, in that moment, I knew exactly what happened. I'd been played. Slowly, quietly, perfectly. Let me tell you how I lost my startup to someone I trusted more than my own family. So hey, I'm Daniel. I'm 26 now, but this whole nightmare started when I was 24, bright-eyed, broke, and very, very convinced I was about to change the B2B software world from a tiny apartment in Sydney. Back in the early 2020s, I built this workflow automation tool, basically something that helped big companies stop tripping over their own internal messes. And somehow, against all odds, I actually landed a couple decent corporate clients. Small contracts, nothing crazy, but enough to make me think, okay, maybe I'm not delusional. The problem? I had zero business experience, like none. I could build a product, ship features, fix bugs, no problem. But contracts, legal stuff, investor talk? Yeah, I was a baby deer on ice. That's when he showed up. Adrian, mid-40s, ex-corporate. Calm voice, expensive watch, the kind of guy who made everything sound simple. He said he believed in my product, said he had connections, said he could handle the paperwork so I could stay focused on innovating. It sounded perfect. Honestly, it felt like a cheat code. Back then I had no idea that saying yes to his offer would cost me everything. If I'd known what was coming, I would have run the other direction. But I didn't, and that's where the real story begins. Alright, so let me back up a bit, because none of this makes sense unless you know where I came from and how wildly unprepared I was for, well, everything that happened. I didn't grow up thinking I'd be a founder or anything. My parents ran a small restaurant, and I basically grew up watching them work insane hours for not a lot of reward. I always told myself, when I'm older, I'm going to build something scalable. Something that doesn't depend on me being behind a counter 12 hours a day. So yeah, classic first-gen kid mentality. I just wanted freedom, and maybe to prove I wasn't destined for the same grind. But after uni, I ended up in this boring IT support job that made me question my entire life. I'd wake up, fix printers, reset passwords, sit in pointless meetings, go home, sleep, repeat. And somewhere in year 2 of that, I started tinkering on this idea tool that automated annoying workflow approvals inside big companies. Mostly, I built it to escape the depression of manually resetting Chad from Finance's account for the 5th time in a week. And not gonna lie, I kinda loved building it. It was the first time in years I actually felt excited. Eventually, I quit my job. Dumb? Maybe. Necessary? Definitely. I told myself I would give it 6 months. If it flopped, I'd crawl back to the corporate world with my tail between my legs. But then I landed my first Clienta mid-sized logistics company. Their manager literally emailed me saying, "Your tool saved us like 30 hours this month." And suddenly I realized I might be onto something. But I was also alone, completely. No co-founder, no mentor. And I was painfully aware of how naive I was. That's when I met Adrian. We met at this tech meetup one of those events, where half the people are founders and the other half are pretending to be. I was pitching my product to anyone who'd listen, and he was standing there sipping wine like he owned the place. We ended up chatting. He asked super smart questions, not just technical stuff, but business stuff. Things I honestly hadn't even thought about. Over the next few weeks, he kind of became this unofficial mentor. He'd call me at night just to brainstorm or check in. He reviewed my pitch deck for free. He even helped me negotiate a corporate trial with a big insurance company, something I would have totally messed up on my own. It felt safe, like I finally had someone older and wiser in my corner. Then one night, he said, "Look, Daniel, you've built an amazing product, but you're drowning in admin. If you want this thing to scale, you need someone who can handle the business side." I remember thinking, God, yes, please, someone save me. He offered to come in as a silent partner. "I'll stay behind the scenes," he said. "Your product, your vision. I'll just help with paperwork, contracts, and connections." I didn't push back. I didn't negotiate. Honestly, I was just relieved someone competent wanted to help. We celebrated by getting late-night photo. I still remember him raising his teacup and saying, "To the start of something big," and I really believed it. Once he joined, things actually did get better at first. He organised our contracts. He polished our pricing model. He introduced us to a lawyer friend of his. He handled negotiation calls when I was too anxious to speak. We landed 2 more corporate clients, then 4. I built features. He dealt with the boring stuff. We were like a well-oiled machine. And because everything was going well, I trusted him. Like, blindly. He'd hand me documents and go, "Just sign here, this is standard." And I'd sign. He'd say, "I'll store everything in my cloud folder, so it's organised." And I let him. He managed the bank account setups because it was more efficient. I didn't question it. At one point he said, "We should update the shareholder agreement so it's cleaner for future investors." That should have been a massive red flag. Instead, I just scribbled my name on it at 11 p.m. after a long sprint week because he said we needed it done before a meeting. Looking back, I hate how easy I made it for him. But at the time, I felt grateful. I thought he was taking stress off my shoulders. I thought he was helping me protect the company. And honestly, we were growing so fast I didn't even want to slow down and look too closely. We got a tiny office, literally, a shoebox with bad lighting, but it felt like heaven. We hired 2 interns. One of the clients invited us to present at their quarterly meeting. Every month felt like a new milestone. My entire identity got wrapped up in that startup. My money, my time, my confidence as a human being. And Adrian, he became the person I leaned on for anything business related. He had all the answers, all the connections, all the documents. I didn't realise I was handing him the keys to everything. The moment that should have snapped me out of it happened late one night. He messaged me saying, "Need you to sign a quick update before tomorrow. Just procedural stuff. No explanation, no details, just that." He sounded annoyed that I even asked. I signed it anyway. If I had actually read what I was signing that night, none of this would have happened. Okay, so here's where everything really goes off the rails. Things were actually going great right before the betrayal. Like stupidly great. We were in talks with this massive enterprise client, one of those companies, with a skyscraper logo and a legal department the size of a small village. Landing them would have changed my entire life. I'm talking financial stability, credibility, the whole "my parents finally understand what I do" package. But with big clients comes big paperwork. And that's when Adrian started pushing harder than usual. "We need to restructure the company before the deal closes," he told me one afternoon, like it was no big deal. "It's just for liability, normal stuff." At the time, I didn't question it. This was his domain. I trusted he knew what he was doing. He said investors preferred a holding company model. He said intellectual property should sit in a separate entity for tax purposes. He said he'd handle everything because I needed to focus on preparing the product demo. He said a lot of things, and I believed all of them. The setup. There were little warning signs I brushed off, like how he stopped CRCing me on certain emails because these lawyers move too fast, don't worry about it. Or how he started scheduling calls without telling me. Or how I'd ask a question, And he'd reply with something vague like, "I'll explain later, just trust me." I didn't want to seem ungrateful or paranoid, so I just kept nodding along. Then he brought me a stack of documents to sign. He said they were compliance updates. He said they were mandatory for enterprise procurement. He said, "Daniel, seriously, I need these by tonight." Everything was urgent with him. I signed most of them without reading something I still cringe admitting out loud. At the time, I genuinely thought he was helping us win the deal. Now, I know those documents weren't about protecting the company. They were about removing me from it. The quiet moves behind my back. Here's what I eventually found out had been happening over the course of 2 years. He registered a brand new holding company in his own name. He slowly transferred all the IP my code into that company. He amended our shareholder agreement repeatedly, so my ownership got diluted. He rewrote the trademark registration, so he was the sole owner. And he rerouted future client contracts to his company instead of ours. All legally, all using documents I'd signed, all done quietly, one simple update at a time. And the wildest part? He never technically lied, he just never told the whole truth. Looking back, every step was so small, I didn't notice the floor disappearing beneath me. At the time, I thought he was saving the company, I tell people now. Turns out, he was just stealing it slowly enough that I wouldn't scream. The discovery. The moment it all clicked, man, I'll never forget it. It was a Tuesday. Just a normal, boring Tuesday. I got an email from the enterprise client's procurement team asking for confirmation that the IP owner will guarantee ongoing support through the holding company. I read it like 3 times thinking, what holding company? So I forwarded it to our lawyer. Not his lawyer, ours. Or, well, I thought he was ours. The lawyer called me back immediately. "Daniel," he said, kind of hesitant, "I think you should check your company's ASIC records." ASIC is basically the corporate registry here in Australia. I log in, click through the page, and suddenly I'm staring at a structure diagram I've never seen before. The parent company I didn't recognise. Under it, our operating company. Under that, a list of assets, all marked as belonging to the parent company. And the parent company, owned 100% by Adrian. Not a single mention of me. I remember saying, "This can't be right, there has to be a mistake." And the lawyer, sounding way too calm, just said, "Did you sign any restructuring documents recently?" My heart basically turned into a black hole. I could actually feel my face go hot. "Yeah," I said, "a few things." He just sighed. "Daniel, you signed over intellectual property rights, ownership stakes, and contract authorities. Everything's been moved." I swear the room started spinning. The confrontation. I didn't even think. I drove straight to the office. When I walked in, Adrian was sitting there typing like it was just another day. I put the printout of the ASIC structure on his desk and said, "What the hell is this?" He didn't flinch, didn't panic, didn't even pretend to be surprised. He just leaned back, crossed his arms and said, "It's the structure we needed to scale." I told him, "You moved everything into your company. You cut me out." And he just shook his head. "You weren't cut out," he said. "You're just not the controlling shareholder anymore." That was the moment I realised he'd never seen us as partners. To him, I was the talent, the builder, replaceable. I asked him why he didn't tell me. He replied, "Because you would have panicked and held us back." Held us back, as if we were still a team. He said something I'll never forget. "You're brilliant, Daniel, but you're young." The company needed an adult in charge. I think that hurt more than losing everything. I told him he betrayed me. He shrugged and said, "This is business." And that was it. No yelling, no apology, just this cold certainty, like he'd been planning it forever. The devastating shift. The next week was a blur. My access to the code repo was removed for security. Clients were told to direct all communication to his team. Our interns left because they didn't know what was happening. Investors I'd been pitching stopped replying. Every part of my life that the startup had touched, my income, my identity, my confidence, just evaporated. In 1 week, I went from co-founder to unpaid stranger in the company I built. And honestly, I still don't fully understand how I let it happen. But the real aftermath, that comes next. So yeah, after everything blew up, life got really, really dark for a while. People think the worst part of betrayal is the moment it happens, the confrontation, the shock, the anger. But honestly, the hardest part is the quiet that comes afterward. The part where you're alone in your room, staring at your laptop, realizing you don't actually have a job anymore, or a company, or a plan. The first week after I got pushed out, I barely slept. I kept replaying every meeting, every document, every moment I brushed off a red flag. It felt like someone put my memories on a projector and forced me to watch them on loop. My parents could tell something was wrong. I wasn't eating, I wasn't talking, I was just numb. When I finally told them what happened, my mum cried. My dad didn't even get angry. He just looked disappointed in himself, like he should have warned me better. It wasn't just the emotional stuff either. The financial side hit me like a truck. I'd poured literally everything into that startup. My savings, my time, my sanity. And now I had nothing to show for it, except a bunch of legal documents with my name on them, and a Gmail inbox full of emails from people asking, "Hey, what's going on with the company?" I didn't know how to answer. I didn't know how to explain that I got outplayed by someone twice my age. I didn't know how to admit that the product everyone loved wasn't even mine anymore. My friends tried to be supportive, but you can only hear, "Bro, you'll bounce back so many times before it feels like salt in the wound." The search for justice. At some point, maybe week 3 or 4, the fog lifted just enough for me to get angry. And once the anger hit, I marched straight back to a lawyer. Not his lawyer. A real one. Someone independent. I laid everything out. The documents, the emails, the messages where he told me, "Just sign it, it's standard." The timeline. The whole saga. My lawyer listened quietly and then said something that made my stomach drop. "You signed everything voluntarily. It'll be hard to challenge." I asked him, "So I have no case?" He shook his head. Not exactly, but he covered himself well. Hearing that broke something in me. I wanted justice. I wanted revenge. I wanted him to feel even a fraction of the anxiety I was drowning in. We spent months digging through everything: contracts, call logs, financial statements, and the more we looked, the clearer it became. Adrian hadn't made a single sloppy move. He never threatened me, never misled me in a way that was provably illegal. He used my trust as leverage, not coercion. And legally, trust isn't a defense. In the end, we managed to negotiate a tiny settlement, basically hush money. A nuisance payout, they call it. Nothing close to what the company was actually worth. Nothing close to the value of the product I'd built. But at that point, I was emotionally drained. I just wanted closure. And honestly, signing that settlement felt like closing the last chapter of a book I never wanted to read in the first place. Personal transformation. After the legal dust settled, I kind of disappeared for a few months. Not in a dramatic way, more like I finally let myself rest. I slept in. I went on long walks. I deleted half my social media because I couldn't stand seeing other founders post "just closed a deal" when I could barely convince myself to shower. But slowly, things started shifting. I rebuilt confidence one tiny step at a time, helping a friend debug his app, doing small freelance gigs, reading books about business structure so I'd never be that clueless again. Eventually, I started sketching new ideas. No big "I'm launching a new startup" moment. More like, let me build something small to remind myself I still can. And yeah, I made changes. A lot of changes. Now I read every contract, every line. I hire a lawyer, even for simple things. I never, ever give one person all the control, no matter how much I trust them. And the biggest one, I don't treat business partnerships like friendships anymore. Business is business. Friendship is friendship. Mixing the two without boundaries is basically begging for disaster. It sucks that I had to learn that the hard way, but here we are. The wild part is I'm actually happier now. Not because the betrayal was good for me, screw that narrative, but because I rebuilt myself with clearer eyes. I'm not the same naive kid who thought someone older automatically knew better. I know better now. The message to you: if you're watching this and you're building something, a business, a project, anything, please listen to me for a second, because this isn't theory, this is lived experience. Number 1, don't sign anything you don't understand. You're not annoying for asking questions. You're not slowing things down. You're protecting your future. Number 2, never give someone full control just because they seem confident. Confidence and competence are not the same thing. And confidence plus bad intentions? That's deadly. Number 3, if someone rushes you to sign something, that's a giant red flag. Urgency is the number 1 tool manipulators use to stop you from thinking. And finally, if you're young, don't assume you're the dumbest person in the room. Sometimes the person acting like the smartest one is actually just the most manipulative. So yeah, that's how the silent partner I trusted ended up taking my entire startup without firing a single shot. And the lesson I carry with me now is simple. A signature can build your future or hand it to someone who never deserved it in the first place.